The following is an account, a personal account of every painting I've done for this exhibition, starting with the Annunciation, or the calling of Don Quixote. Don Quixote, Don Quixote in English, or Quijote in French, is a highly representative of a man in his 50s, middle age, and it could be a man like me, in his 60s, or even 70s or 80s. A man that has lived a life and suddenly gets this call, he finds a mission in life, something to strive for, and that's what this is about. The call for this exhibition suddenly aroused all the memories I had from my readings of Don Quixote, from early childhood, and the tales that my father used to say, tell us during family dinners about his grandfather punishing him. Instead of beating him up, he would have him copy whole chapters of Don Quixote, and then when my father had to relay back to my grandfather the story of Don Quixote. When I first arrived in Spain, I was 9, and the first thing I said to my dad, can you take me to the museums? He was flying, so the wife of another pilot, Maura Pardo, took me to the Prado Museum, and then to the Palacio de Oriente, where they hold the first editions of Don Quixote, and I was absolutely aghast, gobsmacked by these first editions of Don Quixote. So my mother bought me a small edition, a children's edition, Editorial Bruguera, Don Quixote, which had illustrations. It was obviously a short and abridged version, but it was fascinating. When we went through La Mancha on the way to Alicante, traveling around Spain, I saw the windmills, and I said, oh, I want to get down and get off the car and go and look at the windmills. We stopped, we looked at the windmills, and it was that connection with Don Quixote that has accompanied all my life journey. Further on, as I was a teenager, when I was a teenager, I did some drawings of Don Quixote, and my uncle said, well, that's you. It's almost a self-portrait. I used to be very, very thin. When I 5'10", I was only 55 kilograms of weight. I was gothic. I was just a string in the air, unlike today. So this painting, which is the largest painting in the exhibition, is an Annunciation, a subject in religious painting, Christian iconography that I cherish very much, and that I find has produced some of the most exquisite paintings by the great masters. All of them, in particular Leonardo's one I like initially, but later on I fell in love with the Spanish Baroque, Murillo and Zurbarán, the wonderful versions of it. This one bears the colors that usually associated with the Virgin Mary, which is a blue and a white. I wear an orange, the sort of vermilion t-shirt, which is the colors of France. Liberté, égalité, fraternité. As we were saying, this Annunciation is a call on a man who has, in a way, lost not the will to live, but the drive that pushes, that energy that pushes someone to fulfill a dream, to carry out a mission. Not that I have stopped painting, but it was only until this exhibition that I went back to my old ways and really, really pushed it. I received the call. I am awakening. I'm in my bed, which is all messed up, and on the corner, underneath this woman, is my palette, my old mahogany palette, the one I used when I was a student at Central School of Art and Design, and that has accompanied me all these years of my professional life as a painter. It has the image, the photograph of my late friend, my mentor, who always pushed me to do an exhibition, and when I told him he was already very ill, that it was about Don Quixote, he was very excited. He went and talked to his nephew who has a PhD on Don Quixote, and he was pouring back all this, relaying back all this information, all this bibliography, an amazing array of titles about Don Quixote. And one of the things I discovered through this, or amongst all this literature, is that Don Quixote is meant to be like the alter ego of Cervantes. Cervantes was a Jew, a converted Jew, what we would call a marrano, someone who is forced into Christianity. He starts his novel with En un lugar de la Mancha, place of the stain, which I don't remember, which name I don't want to remember. Used to live a man called Quesada. Quijana makes a reference to the jaw, and Sancho, panza makes a reference to the belly, the jaw and the belly. That will become like the yin and yang, those alternate characters, because one becomes the other and the other becomes the one, in a beautiful relationship of master and, well, it's not a master, he calls him master, but he actually is two friends from two different strata of society. Well, my friend is there. Then I have, right up in the corner, Goya's Disasters of War, which is my ancestral say heritage, comes from Spain. And I was always, at that age, when at 9, when I went to the Prado, the thing that impressed me the most, along with Velázquez's paintings, were Goya's etchings of caprichos and the disparates and the disasters of war, and the other, what we call the black paintings. They really impressed me. They produced nightmares in me, but they triggered what was to be my lifelong, you could call it, style or form of expressing my innermost feelings.